Hi, Doug Andrew here. It's an absolute delight to be here right now with Shaky Webster. She is one of our IUL insiders. And I'm super impressed with you already, Shaky, because you saw the value of joining our masters and becoming a certified IUL professional. So that tells me a lot about how concerned you are about doing the right thing for your clients. I admire, you're my kind of person. And I've been doing this for a long time, 50 years. And it excites me when I see people like you who want to make sure as you begin to help thousands of people in your career, that you will never have any regrets. And so you want to make sure it's done right in the first place. Now, I'm interested in knowing how and why did you get into the financial services industry?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So back in 2007, my husband and we had amassed a decent amount of wealth. Okay. We had a $5 million real estate portfolio and things were going really well. Okay. We moved to Atlanta and we were, how people say, buy up the block. We weren't just buying the block, we were buying whole neighborhoods. We'll take one of those, we'll take one of those. And 2008, 2009 happened, the housing bubble burst, right? And so we went from everything to nothing. And so I found
a lot of people experience that.
Yes, yes. And so I found myself having to get a job. And so I went and applied for a position. I knew I was going to get it because listen, I could have owned the place if I wanted to. Okay, but they offered me the position, and as the hiring manager walks me out the door, I said, "How much will I be getting paid?" And so she said, "Oh, your starting pay is $10.25 an hour." Doug, when I tell you that crushed me, I got to the car and just bawled because I could not wrap my mind around the fact that you're trying to tell me I'm supposed to sit somewhere for an entire hour and in exchange, you're going to give me a $10 bill and a quarter. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I found myself in this place for a really long time. But in the midst of that, someone that I had networked with, they said, "Hey, come over to one of these, come to this presentation." Okay. It was a hotel presentation. You remember those hotel presentations.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so I go to his little hotel presentation and sit in the back because by the time they start the altar call, okay, or open the doors to the church, where they do the offer, okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to dip out because I'm in the last row on the end, okay? But the guy in the front of the room, he's talking about how to utilize life insurance, how it protects your wealth, how it grows your wealth, and all of these things about life insurance. And I'm holding on to my seat like, oh my God, I'm almost ready to scream. And I'm thinking to myself, had I known about that, I would not have lost everything that I had.
Yeah.
I would not have found myself in that position. So at the end of the meeting, I say to the gentleman, I said, "Listen, I don't have a lot. I've lost a lot and I don't have much at all. But whatever you're selling, I'm buying it. And I want the ability to share that with other people just like me." And so that's how I ended up getting into this industry.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And many times, success stories begin because there was a major setback that you had to overcome. And one of my greatest breakthroughs was when I lost a home in foreclosure back in 1982. And some people thought, "Oh, you're a financial advisor. How can you even admit that you did that?" It was probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because I understood that real estate equity did not pass the liquidity test, the safety of principal test, or the rate of return test. And so I didn't pay a down payment for that house, but it was worth double what I had built it for. But that was just a number on a sheet of paper. In 2008, I had already learned the lesson. And my house went down in value from $1.5 million to $1.1 million. But I had it mortgaged to the hilt, and I had critics go, "Oh, neener, Mr. Andrew, you're underwater. You owe more than your house is worth." Did I care? I was in control. I had all $1,500,000 in my IUL policies, and I was earning twice as much as the net cost of the mortgage. I could peel off half of my annual earnings and meet the mortgage payment. And so, sometimes we learn our greatest lessons from the setbacks.
Yeah.
So I admire you for that story and how you started. Do you have a question for me and why I do what I do?
I absolutely do. So, but even I want to ask you a question based off of that. I heard you say in one of your teachings before about paying off a house, right? And, there's a lot of, professionals out here that will tell you, oh, just add a additional payment onto that mortgage. Can you speak to why that may not be the best thing to do?
Yeah. In fact, in my very first book, and I've been very blessed to have written 12 books so far. The very first chapter of the first book, Misfortune, was the $25,000 mistake being made by millions of Americans. Nowadays, it's a $100,000 mistake. I was using an example back then, 23 years ago, of a $150,000 house. Okay. Now I think the average home in America is $500,000 to $600,000. Yeah. So that's why I say this is a $100,000 mistake. But the point was this. If you want to get out of debt, okay, first of all, you have to decide what your definition of out of debt is. Most people say, well, I don't owe anything.
Right.
My definition is when I have enough money in this right-hand pocket, so to speak, my assets, that are liquid and safe, that any time with an electronic funds transfer or phone call, I can move money out of here and totally pay off all my liabilities. I am out of debt. Okay. Now, that doesn't have to be your definition, but that's mine. Right. Understanding that, when people would say, oh, try this biweekly mortgage payment plan where a lot of people get paid biweekly, that's 26 paychecks a year, and you magically pay half of your mortgage payment out of each paycheck, and you'll make an extra mortgage payment, and bingo, you pay off your mortgage 9 years earlier on a 30-year mortgage. Or take out a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage. Just bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah.
Well, I developed a software program, and I showed mathematically, because math doesn't lie, that if you were to take the differential between a 15-year amortized mortgage payment, let's say that's this, and a 30-year amortized mortgage payment, which is less, take that difference plus the tax savings you will achieve during the first 15 years of a 30-year mortgage, and discipline yourself to set that aside into a compounding account tax-free.
Yeah.
What's the best instrument that's tax-free that you now know?
An IUL.
IUL. So I put that in my IUL policy, and it's compounding tax-free.
Yeah.
And I've been averaging, because of rebalancing and so forth, 8, 9, 10%, even 11%. Let's just say 9%. I'm earning 9% compound interest tax-free. Yeah. If I borrow over here at 6% interest, tax deductible, I get to write that off, and I'm saving in my bracket 33% of 6. So a 6% mortgage is only costing me 4%.
Right.
I was borrowing at 4.5%, and a 33% bracket, a net cost of 3. So on every million of real estate debt, I pay $30,000 a year, and I'm making 90. How much more is 90 than 30? Don't say, 60, it's 300%. I sometimes have to tell people, would you hire an employee for 30 grand that made you 90 grand? Would you buy a widget machine?
All day.
For 30 grand that made you, that's called a 300% return on employment cost or equipment cost. So because of that arbitrage, if you put the money over here, you don't even need to have that kind of a spread. Yeah. If you only had a 2-point spread between the net cost of borrowing, tax deductible interest, and the compounding tax-free, if there was only a 2% difference, you will have enough money in your IUL policy to totally pay off the 30-year mortgage in 12 and a half years. 2.5 years faster than the same money to pay it off in 15 years. And on a $150,000 house, that's using $25,000 of your own money instead of Uncle Sam's money. Right. You're actually using otherwise payable tax. But now with a $600,000 house, It's $100,000 that you're able to come out ahead in the end of 15 years that you would have just kissed goodbye if you gave it to the mortgage company. And so that's why I call it the $100,000 mistake being made by millions of Americans. And so thank you for asking that question.
That was so good. That's so good. So why did you get into this? Why financial services for you?
You know, Shaky, way back in 1974 when I started, it was actually, I got my insurance license and my Series 1 securities license as a means to another end. I was going to become an attorney, an estate planning and tax attorney. Okay. And then through a series of events, my wife, she got deathly sick as we began to start our family. And she technically passed away 3 times and came back. I had to start and stop college several times. I had scholarships, but it was really, really rough. And I was selling insurance and putting people's money into mutual funds until 1980 when I learned about Universal Life. And then in 1997, Index Universal Life came out. But I'll never forget. I was frustrated because I had to start and stop college so many times. And I went into the dean. And he says, well, how are you making it? I said, oh, I'm doing fine. I'm able to work about 20 hours a week and I'm knocking down 72,000. And he went, what? He says, I'm the dean and I only make 40,000. This is back in 1975. Okay. You're making 72,000 part-time. He said, what could you make full-time? I go, oh, at least double that. He said, what are you doing in college? He says, do you love what you're doing? I said, absolutely. In fact, most attorneys I talk to, if they had to do it over again, they wouldn't do law. They would do what I'm doing. And I never looked back.
Wow.
And so why do I do this is because I love to help people see opportunities that they've never seen before, because if they just follow the herd and do the textbook stuff and they start working for a company and, they follow the herd and put money in a 401k, I go, no. I have a ditty that goes good, better, best, never let it rest.
Yeah.
Never let it rest till good gets better, better gets best. Those may be a good way to go, but they're a far cry from the best way. And I cannot stand knowing that people are doing something that's good, but they could be doing something that's not only better, but it's best, because it's the difference between living in dignity and not outliving your money and financial independence and helping give back to society versus barely getting by.
Yeah.
And I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I can tell you love what you're doing.
Oh my goodness. I love being in this industry. It's just being able to see how so many lives are able to be changed. You know, it doesn't matter if, the person's income bracket is this or that, all facets of people can be helped through this industry. And so that's what I love about it as well. Now, this business is not, it's not easy, or it could be. You tell me. But do you have any encouragement for those people that are in the industry that may find themselves, whether they're struggling or they're just new to business?
Yes. Sometimes it's difficult. I was stubborn. I did not want to go out and do the normal thing that a lot of insurance companies told. Go make a list of the 100 of your relatives and closest friends. And I wanted to prove to myself I could sell to an absolute stranger. So I was really stubborn. And I went 3 months without selling one single policy. And I don't know what it was.
3 months?
Yes. I went 3 months without selling a single policy.
Okay.
And then the first one I sold was somebody who invested $50 a month, $600, and I made $360 commission on that. But I knew that if I was more concerned about the client, that it would work out at the end of the day. I just needed to be patient and not give up, And so as I stuck to it and continued even through the setbacks and everything like that, I knew that if I kept my focus, on helping other people, not being desperate, it wasn't about me, it was about them. And even though you go through ebbs and flows, And sometimes you can eat steak some months and then you're eating beans the next month. Pretty soon you get to a level to when you begin to learn. Now, I learned most of my marketing and my communication and people skills not in college. I learned by rubbing shoulders with some of the top people in this industry. And so I began to belong to mastermind groups. That's why my hat's off to you, because you belong to our sort of mastermind group, IUL Insiders. Yeah. That's where you learn far more than in some textbook college class. Yes. And that's the same thing happened to my sons. When they were in college, they went crazy because they knew more than the professor did about how it works in real life. Yes. Many of their friends who became accountants, they wanted to prepare their tax returns, and okay, you can do my tax return. Well, you didn't do this right. You didn't amortize that right. You didn't appreciate that. And they go, how do you know? Because my sons had been looking at actual tax returns for 4 years while their friends were in college looking at hypothetical. The real world is the best teacher.
Yeah.
And so I would say, make sure that you stick to it and you rub shoulders with the people who are successful and begin to emulate what they do. Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
that's powerful.
You know, Shaky, I'm curious because your company is called the Financial Matchmaker. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me what that means.
Okay. So, the Financial Matchmaker, it just came from the fact that, so I'm a matchmaker kind of at heart, right? I love matching people, not just necessarily dating, but I'm a huge networker. Okay, so if I hear, okay, so you're a real estate agent and this person over here is looking for a house, okay, matching those two people together.
Yeah.
And so I came up with the Financial Matchmaker because that's essentially what I would do naturally, okay? And then also helping people find their perfect SIR. And SIR stands for Stocks, Insurance, and Real Estate. And so I read one time that stocks, insurance, and real estate, those three combined is how typically the wealthy stay wealthy, okay? Investing their money into those three vehicles. And so, that's how the Financial Matchmaker was born.
That's awesome. And as you know, when you can use Index Universal Life as a working capital account, to invest in your real estate and to keep that money liquid and safe. My savvy clients who are real estate investors or business owners, they use IUL as a working capital account, not just for retirement. It's like a financial Swiss Army knife. Right. But the savvy ones who, whether it's stocks, because IUL, you can actually participate in the stock market without the risk of what happens when it crashes.
Yes.
So, it's awesome that you are a matchmaker of those three. And IUL is a wonderful product that helps you accomplish all of those and maintain liquidity, safety, and the rate of return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now because it's this thing, we love social media, right? A lot of our leads come from social media. We generate and we educate through social media. However, we know that the IUL is a fantastic product just on its own, without someone hyping it up to be more than what it is. Are there some myths out there that you've kind of heard that you might want to just say, okay, this is kind of a myth, but the product itself is still really good?
Yes. I love IUL so much, but sometimes people get little snippets or little tidbits of it, and then they go out and say, oh, wow. So I'm going to take out an IUL and put all this money into it, and then the next week pull out all that money and then go buy a piece of real estate. And I'm like, no, that's not how the banking concept really works. The way you have to set up an IUL, it is a long-term vehicle. In other words, you don't get rich, quick overnight. And so you need to understand that you use IUL as a liquid account where you can access money when you need it. and you have safety of principle, but you don't just go in and put a lump sum of money and take 100% back out again, because the insurance policy could implode that early in the game. So is it a dream solution for retirement? It knocks the socks off of IRAs or 401ks. And like I said, working capital for a business or real estate management or emergency funds or college funding for kids and grandkids. But you have to be patient as you jump through the IRS hoops, the TEFRA and DEFRA and TAMRA hoops, that if you are going to set aside 500,000, you can't put in all 500 grand in one fell swoop, because now it's going to be taxable when you take it out.
Yeah.
So you can only fund it over maybe 5 years. And if you have a policy, I call them a bucket, that's designed to accommodate 500,000 and it's only 20% full, well, that's not going to have a chance to have a great internal rate of return when it's only 20% funded. Can you access, if you put in 100,000 of the 500, could you access that in an emergency? Yeah, you could access 40 or 50, 60,000, but you want to wait until you've got the policy funding and working, and then you can begin to use the banking concept, and then you can borrow money. But if you're going to buy real estate, I would put the least amount down, keep the money liquid and safe over the insurance policy instead of pulling it all out again, because if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to get into trouble with it, and you may trigger unnecessary tax.
Yes.
And so, yes, it is so incredible on its own, but don't make it more than what it is, because frankly, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't true. But sometimes people say, well, Doug, this sounds too good to be. No, it actually is this good, but don't make it any more than what I told you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And social media, sometimes people, oh yeah, just do this. And
Exactly. Right.
And we have these loose cannons out there that then do it. And it sort of ruins the absolute integrity of the product when it's used correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That made me think about something though, which is the reason why I'm here, right? Because if the policy is not constructed properly or written properly, what could that do?
Oh, see, the saddest thing for me is when people come to me, because and only about 1 out of 10 people will usually show up and admit that their policy is not performing. But this is normally what happens. Mr. Andrew, I've been listening to you on the radio for years, or watching on YouTube or whatever. And you've been talking about, because of rebalancing and everything, that you can earn a rate of return of 7%, but by rebalancing that you can even tweak it to 10. And so the last 7 years, you mentioned, because of COVID-19, that you seized the opportunity with a 1 year point to point with no cap. And so you've earned 10%. And now 10% into the rule of 72 means your money doubles in 7 years. They go, I've had this policy for 7 years. 7 years ago, it had a cash value of $250,000. Okay. And it should be worth 500, and it's only worth 125 now. I have lost money. I've lost, it looks like, the opportunity for 375,000. What is wrong? Isn't this the same company you use? I go, yeah, that's one of the companies I use. Well, what about the actual product with that company? And I go, yes. Well, what's wrong? And I look at it, and it takes about 30 seconds. And I go, oh dear, who set this up for you?
Yeah.
Oh, our nephew or my brother-in-law. And I go, they didn't know what they were doing. They put way more insurance on here than you needed. You're lucky to be earning 7 and netting 3, because all of your return is being gobbled up. And you could be earning 10 and netting 9. And so there's a huge difference here.
Yeah.
If they just knew what they were doing when they set it up in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm pleased that you're learning how to do it right, because it makes a big difference.
That is why I'm so thankful that I'm here. But I do want to ask you one last question. It just came to mind is, there's a lot of financial advisors and a lot of financial professionals, and a lot of your financial advisors will say, hey, there's this IRA over here, and so there's a lot of my clients that I tend to lose or get distracted because of the fact that they're like, oh, well, my financial advisor said that I need to have my money over here, or I need to keep my money over here and not put it in the IUL. What do you think that for those people that are so heavy on their financial advisor, what's the difference between what a financial advisor does versus what we, as those of us that offer the IUL, what differentiates us?
Thank you for that question, Shaky, because this is why I've never been into titles like I'm a CFP or whatever, because frankly, that then stereotypes me that I had to answer some exam that, oh no, I'm supposed to follow the herd, and you put your money in the market because the market always comes back, and IRAs and 401ks because you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. So I've always been contrarian to those things. So what I introduce myself as, I'm a financial strategist, a tax strategist. And frankly, in order to become the lead advisor, because sometimes they have an allegiance or a loyalty, but many times they're not that happy. When I ask people, are you happy with the rate of return you've been getting? I'm shocked how many of them don't really understand the rate of return, and then I calculate it for them. I said, do you know what your internal rate of return has been the last 20 years? And I look at what they have and what they put in, and I go, you've been averaging about 3.49%. Well, my advisor has acted like it's 8 or 9. I go, well, no. If you were earning 3.49, you'd end up with this much money, and this is all you have right now. Now, again, I'm not going to throw rocks or try to tear down other people. I don't believe in doing that. But if you would like to make sure you don't outlive your money and you would like to optimize your assets, I would recommend rethinking your thinking. And I'm not going to suggest, you can do you move all your money over here. You need to establish trust with me. But what makes my situation different is I'm interested in 3 dimensions, not just the money. And so I want to know, for example, if we were sitting here 3 years from today, looking back over that 3-year period, what has to happen in your life for you to be happy with the progress you made, not just financially?
Right.
It's not about the money. It's about what it can do for you. What is it that you're going to be doing with those that you care about? And how do you want to give back to society so that you can be financially independent? I want to become a confidant who understands you holistically so that I can be sort of a matchmaker to point you to the people who can help in various ways. Yeah. So it's up to you what you would like to do, but that's how I like to operate.
Yeah.
I want to get to know you and what makes you tick, who and what is most important to you. Yeah. Why do you get out of bed every day? What do you love about your life? And if that's uncomfortable for you, then we're probably not the right fit. But that's the kind of relationship I want. I don't want to just to get together and talk about percentages or money.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
So I would love to apply for that position in your life and to be a lead advisor. And I'll prove myself.
Oh, that's so nice. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I've been sitting with you now for 2 days, and you've taught us that. You're teaching us those very things so that we can go and be the best advisor to our clients. And I'm so thankful for that.
Well, thank you, because I recognize that's your desire. It's not about us. It's about them, the public.
It's all about them.
So my hat's off to Shaky because she's wanting to do it right. And if you were to seek out somebody such as Shaky to help you with your financial goals and the big picture, you're in good hands. And so thank you for being the kind of person you are. Look forward to your success in the future and a long and enduring relationship, Shaky.
Thank you so much.
You betcha.